Hello, this is James Larkin Smith, and this is week 3, our assignment on our course disability and the church, and I enjoyed the study this week. We had several discussion questions that we needed to answer. What do we know about the story of Mephebosheth? Interesting way to pronounce that. We know that from the scripture in 2 Samuel that he was disabled, that both of his feet were lame. He was physically disabled, both feet were unusable. I can relate because I have only one foot that's usable, and I'll discuss some of that related to this in a minute. Being disabled in this particular generation must have been tough. We're very fortunate in our present age. I have modern wheelchairs. I mentioned to you personally that I had an injury last week where I ran with my power chair into my dresser. And I can understand this past week not being able to transfer and some things like that. And imagine in that day and age, they didn't have ADA bathrooms. They didn't have power chair lifts. They didn't have modern wheelchairs of any type. They were completely, if you can walk and can use your feet, you were completely at the mercy of a caregiver and or caregivers to take care of you. Normally your family member, such like that. And that was tough. And it's bad enough in this day and age after some of the what might consider moderate compared to this that I experienced this past week. And even myself, of course, having had a stroke. Mephebosheth, because of this, I like this. One of the things I really enjoyed reading, and it's tough to read, and it kind of says that time, and I don't know that that's any different than in our current generation from a lot of folks that I talked to that have gone through what I went through, being disabled. When he was talking to David, he said that he was like a dead dog. A dead dog can't move. It was virtually no good. He had super, super low self-esteem, and that's one of the challenges that people that are disabled go through. Is having no self-esteem from what they've gone through in life. Some of the main characters are question 2. Some of the main characters, of course, are King David, Ziba, who was the steward of Saul's household. Of course, Saul was their grandfather. Well, not Ziba's grandfather, but David's grandfather. Ziba, the steward of Saul's household, steward being the person that kind of took care of the household, general manager, maybe you call something like that of that nature in this day and age. And Jonathan, of course, the son of Saul, who was David's best friend, and who died in the battle against the Philistines. He died at that Mount Gilboa. Then also we have, of course, Mephebosheth, who we've already mentioned a little bit, son of Jonathan. And then Barzillai, who provided for David's household. David took care of Barzillai and, of course, Mephebosheth, as we'll say just now as we go into the story. And, of course, Jonathan. Think of it, C is the storyline. Okay. David wants to honor his friend Jonathan and his family members for the friendship, possibly because he gave his life also in fighting. He was what we might even consider a war hero in this day and age. And he wanted to provide for his family for the great things that he had done for him in his close friendship. And we might think of it in a current terms of someone given to a charity. When someone passes away, you want to honor someone. Maybe if they had cancer, you give to the Cancer Society. Maybe if they had, in this situation, maybe that someone died early in age and want to take care of the family. I'm very honored that my wife, her first husband, passed away of cancer. And one of the things that the family did is they didn't just discard her, per se, is they really have taken care of her through the years and made sure that she, as they said, keep her to the same financial standard that she had when she was married to her first husband. And it's a great example of reading what David did here and such. We see that it was found out that Jonathan had a son named Mephebosheth, and even though he was disabled, and maybe the case could be made the folks in that disability, in that age, disability were kind of cast aside. He still wanted to bless him, and he took care of him in our story. I saw recently a biography that was about the lost son of King George in Britain in the early 1900s. It's very common in past history and even in semi-current history. If you were disabled, you weren't even listed on the family tree. And for many years, Prince John, the son of King George, who was born in 1905 and passed away at the age of 14, he had epilepsy. He wasn't even listed. He wasn't given much press or anything like that. He was basically in the family didn't put him in a closet, but in the eyes of the media and the public, he was put in a closet. The disabled are so often out of the scene that they are often not even mentioned in history. And this could have been the case for Mephebosheth, who in that particular time. But King David, when he wanted to take care of Jonathan, he instead, and the other part is Mephebosheth was asked to come before King David. He might have thought he might have done something wrong and he might have wanted to put him to death, but David wanted to take care of him. And he very much did that. He also took care of a man named Barzillai in chapter 19, who was a caregiver in David's household. And David took care of him at the age of 80 when it was said that Barzillai said it was hard of hearing, had sight problems, and possibly couldn't even taste. The takeaway from this is David set the example for taking care of those who had been his friend and their families, and who had fought in battle and their families. And in this category, the word disabled, he treated them at his table in the scripture, and Samuel says that. A quick takeaways from our and I apologize for time. It's just hard to get all this in 7 minutes, and I apologize. We read from Yang this past week, and a couple of the takes from that I really enjoyed. He said this: forgiveness was for the sake of the faithful person with a disability. The healing was often a sign for the unbelieving religious leaders at the time, but he talks about evil spirits often were signs of mental illness, and we know that that's not, most of the time is not the case. Our signs of disability do not necessarily fill with what is felt inside. And one of the things that came from Young was look on the inside versus the outside on the spiritual condition. From Hardwick, and I'll wrap up here. People want to know why one has a disability. Possession does not equate to disability, and that's something for the past and even current. Some churches and some societies will even look at that. And all bodies are the temple of God. Whether you're able-bodied or disabled, your body is a temple of God. Thank you very much. I'm enjoying the course very much. Jen, have a good week. Bye-bye.